It's the WBAP Saturday Morning News on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News time is 6:13. Hope you're having a fantastic Memorial Day weekend as it is kicked off and ready to go. Well, of course, this week there's some good training in the Metroplex for law enforcement because after those mass shootings across the country, such as the Uvalde massacre, law enforcement agencies are required to complete training every few years. Now, many times local police departments would have to send their training centers across the state, or actually send their officers across the state for training. But no more, thanks to White Settlement Police Department. Now, joining us is White Settlement Police Chief Chris Cook to explain a new program that solves that problem. Chief Cook, thanks for being here today. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this new endeavor that we've launched into.
Well, it seems fantastic. A lot of other law enforcement agencies may be traveling to White Settlement Police Department for some training. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we have over a year ago wanted to become a training provider, and that is legislatively required on some things. You have to go through an application process, an auditing process, and the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement is the one that actually kind of grants those. And you don't just say, hey, I want to do it, right? And so it's a pretty big task and undertaking. And so it took about a year. We formed a training advisory board, and that is required as well. And so part of that training advisory board will meet quarterly. They approve any of the training that we want to do. And then from there, we'll create a schedule and put that online for other agencies. One of the things that we're trying to do here in our department is we want to be in a position to offer relevant training that's contemporary in nature as far as what's going on around us. The big thing is certainly the alert active shooter training. You know, unfortunately, the incident in Uvalde has really demonstrated a need to make sure that all police officers have the training and the skill sets to be able to immediately respond and prevent loss of life. And so that's one of the first things we're doing. But we'll host a myriad of types of classes. It's not just active shooter training. We'll do everything from impaired driving, leadership classes, and then, again, all the legislative mandates that come out of Austin.
Now, who will be teaching the classes? Some of your officers, yourself? How does that work?
Yeah, so you have to be an instructor. That's also a license that you get from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. We have several instructors, myself included. And not only do you have to have the instructor license, you have to be kind of a subject matter expert in that topic. For example, if we're doing a police media relations class, certainly I wouldn't mind jumping in on that. If we're doing an active shooter type training, that would be a specialized officer that's been certified to teach that type of topic area. We maintain their bios and lesson plans and stuff on file. And then there's an exam that each participant of the class has to take in order to file for the credit. Because keep in mind, anybody that comes to our training center, that counts as training hours that's required. Every 2 years, you have to have a certain number of hours to maintain your peace officer license. And so in order to do that, there's several administrative and bureaucratic processes that we have to follow.
All right, last question. Before you did this, how far would officers have to travel for training like this?
Yeah, all over the state. And not only are you paying for the course, but then you're having to pay for lodging and per diem and travel costs. And so, when I worked at Arlington, we had our own training center. And so when you're in a large city, you'll have that. But small agencies, we don't typically have training centers. And I think that's why this is a big deal. We're going to be the only agency really on the western side of Tarrant County that actually has a dedicated space. We're using our Pecan Grove Convention Center that'll house a simulator and all of that. And then we have a gun range that we actually use up in Parker County. And so it's great to be able to offer this locally so that the agencies that participate, they don't have to go too far. That helps on their staffing, and then, again, it helps them get their training hours that are required by the state.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
That's White Settlement Police Chief Christopher Cook talking about new training they're spearheading to train law enforcement officers throughout North Texas.